Welcome. It has begun. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week. Okay, so here's the deal. We have this holiday here in the United States of America called Thanksgiving, where we celebrate our genocide of the Native American. I'm just kidding. Sort of. I'm not guilty because it was a long time ago, and my family came over when the potatoes rotted in Ireland. Daniel Patrick McDermott, Irish. But we have Thanksgiving when we're supposed to get with our families and eat ourselves into a carbohydrate-induced coma, and then we shop. It's all ridiculous, of course. I did the eating part. It was wonderful with my family and stuff. And then I drove past Walmart, or what were they calling it? Brawl Mart, I guess. There were all these viral videos. And so it is post-Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and it's so named because this is the day when the Christmas, Hanukkah holiday shopping season starts and everyone buys gifts, and this is supposedly the day when retailers go into the black from the red. In accounting terms, so they call it Black Friday. And anyway, I actually drove by Walmart. I was curious, had my camera in case there was pulling of hair and gnashing of teeth, that sort of thing, and there was none of that. Sadly, I could have gotten perhaps a meme or viral video out of it. So there we have it. So I thought I'd do the show. I have no panel yet. So this is solo. This is my first solo. This could be an epic failure. So you definitely want to watch in case this becomes a meme because it's so bad. Alan's supposed to join in the next 10 minutes. And then Craig Ship is supposed to join soon after he gets back from tennis in Florida. Not jealous at all. So I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. Hope you did not get injured in Brawl Mart purchasing your cheap imported Chinese goods. So there we have it. And Kevin Bryan says, wonder why my comment thing's not working. That's a fail. Interesting. Okay, so I can't put the comments up, but I see Kevin Bryan says, Happy Turkey Day, gobble gobble. And he misses Oleg. Oleg will be back, hopefully. So anyway, okay, so our first topic is this Microsoft latest Scroogle ad. As you can imagine, I was not amused. So I'll play a bit of this. This is with the Pawn Stars reality hosts. The ad is based, it's a commercial trashing Google's Chromebook, and basically what's going on is this girl comes in there and she wants to pawn her Chromebook, and the Pawn Star guy, obviously an IT expert, not coached at all, says that the Chromebook is worthless and because it doesn't have Microsoft Word and iTunes. And then this other guy comes in who's the other IT expert. So she's perplexed because it's not a real laptop, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, this is just disgusting. This is Microsoft just infuriates me. Basically, I had a buddy of mine buy an Acer, a real laptop, as Microsoft would say, running Microsoft Windows 8. And I was on the phone with him today, and I finally got so frustrated, I told him he'd have to bring it to me. First of all, he said that YouTube was choppy and Netflix was choppy. I said, define choppy, and he tried to. And then I said, well, let's do a speed test. So I said, go to speedtest.net. And he was typing it in there, but instead of going there, it would go to a search result with a bunch of other things and ads. And then I guess on Bing, or I don't know. And then then I said try Comcast or speedtest.comcast.net. And so finally I just got frustrated, and he was the whole time he was trying to get to a regular thing on the bottom left like Windows 7 and below have uh, to get the stuff, and he just hates Windows 8. So the thing is, Microsoft needs to put out a product that isn't crappy, um, uh, along the lines of, you know, hardware, search engines, the Surface. They're putting out garbage, and so instead of fixing their products, um, and maybe pulling a, what was it, Domino's that apologized to their consumers and fixed their pizza, allegedly, or one of the chains, pizza chains. Microsoft should do the same. Instead of attacking the competition like a child, they should, you know, put out a product that doesn't suck and a search engine that people will use, because the market's out there. If you come up with a better search engine, we'll all use it right away. If you put out crap, then we won't. So there you have it. So I'll continue to not get my advice from pawnbrokers. Not to insult pawnbrokers. I know some, and they're nice people, and these two have lost all respect for me. Okay, so next up, this is an article from Nate Swanner, who's a regular on Our Android Week, and this is an article on Android Community, and it talks about the new verification system on Google Plus, or how they're integrating it with YouTube. So you had this guy whose name, his name is Michael Yanich, but Dutch Sense, I guess, is his YouTube name. So someone got mad or was confused or whatever, and marked it as impersonating somebody else. Look at all these ads. Nate Swan is a cash cow. So what's interesting is they told him he had to verify that he was indeed Dutch Sense. Well, he doesn't have a ID from the Netherlands or whatever, saying that he's Dutch Sense. And as Nate says, how can you prove you're you when your online presence doesn't know your real name and your identification does? So this still exists. Pseudonyms do. Now the way Google Plus does it, of course, is it's sort of a mixture. You can have a pseudonym, but it's attached to your real name as well. So at least you can do the back thing. So that's interesting. So that's a quandary. If you, that's a risk. If you do use a pseudonym on YouTube, if you're still allowed to, I'm not sure, or a fake name, you know, John Doe, whatever, then if for some reason someone's just trolling you, or if you're writing provocative things and someone wants to get back at you, someone who disagrees with you, then you run that risk of not being able to prove your identity. So that's a good argument to use your actual identity. So there we have that. Good article. Again, that's from Nate Swanner on Android Community. So please check that out. Okay, next up, it looks like Chromecast is easing developer restrictions. I think I'm going to hold that one until Alan gets here, because I'm a moron on developer stuff. I've developed one game called Towers of Kublai Khan. You can find hacked copies if you Google my name and Towers of Kublai Khan. I actually bought one just because I was curious. I bought a pirated copy of my own game. I paid for it. I've got it sitting on CD-ROM somewhere. But that was back in '93 or '94. And so I'm not what you'd say up to speed on whatever the hell people like Alan and Michael Banks and others who know what they're doing are doing. Okay, so let's go to the Star Trek computer. I had a post on this and basically a Google video that they put out. Google Now is cool. It's Siri-like, where you can say, you know, Google, remind me on Thursday to call Joe Smith. Or when I frequently use on show nights, I'll say, set alarm for, you know, 7:50 p.m. And then there's the frantic shower and race to the computer to start the show. So what they've done is they've brought this to your desktop, and you can go to Google. This is a Chrome extension. It's a free extension. All you have to do is get Chrome, use the Chrome browser, and then go to the get a Chrome extension. I think you go into settings, or you could just Google, Chrome extensions, and you'll find it. But what it does is you click into the search, and you can just say, let's try it here. Okay, Google, epic fail. It's not working. I wonder what I did wrong. Okay, so maybe it's buggy. So anyway, take my word for it. This is pretty cool. I told you this would be a fail show. See, I didn't have my Chrome extension. I don't know why. But so you can tell the computer to do what you want, and it does stuff. It brings me food. It pees for me, which would be convenient since I have no panel to cover for me during this program. So anyway, I'm not sure what it is, but I think it actually has a thing where you can say, okay, Google, and ask it, what is the current time in Bangkok, Thailand? What is the current price of the euro? What, just things, maybe map directions or what have you. And I think I linked to some examples. I think it's a Wall Street Journal article, so I'd recommend you check that out. Okay, Goldilocks has pulled their ad. This was a really interesting thing, and I posted that I thought it was clearly wrong for them to steal this song. And I was called out by a guy who made some really good arguments. I still stand by that, and I think that it was, in fact, wrong for them to take a song, because the argument was, is it a parody or not? Because you're allowed to have a parody, right? What this was, this is a song that makes kids' toys, and the theme of this ad is that, they don't need just little girly toys all pink, but they make toys that promote engineering in young ladies, that sort of thing. So that's the point of this. And they took the song Girls from the Beastie Boys, and the Beastie Boys said that they didn't want, they asked why are we using our song without permission, that we had made a decision not to allow our music in any ads. And so what this company did was they said that it was a parody, and they actually sued the Beastie Boys for a whatever you call it, a ruling that said that they were allowed to use it. Now, if you notice at the end of the video, they actually show the product and promote their product. It's clearly an ad. Now, I totally agree with the sentiment, as do the Beastie Boys in their statement. Here we go, toys for future engineers, and there's a product you can buy. There's the website if you want to buy the product. There's the logo of the product. There's the cute little adorable girls with, their engineering stuff. So that's all awesome. But I think it's clearly an advertisement. I don't think it's protected parody speech. Now, you can do a parody. For example, Saturday Night Live frequently does parodies on all sorts of things. They'll pretend that they're 60 Minutes or QVC or what have you. You could do it in a stand-up routine. Saturday Night Live will even have the logo, ESPN or whatever, without permission, because it's a legitimate parody, and that's clearly for commercial use, right? It's a show that has advertising, but there's a difference in a legitimate parody because they're making fun of something, or they're doing whatever they do, but it's a political commentary often, or a commentary on society, satire. That's definitely protected parody use. Another example would be Chad Vader, the guy who dresses as Darth Vader in a grocery store. It's a comedy, he can argue it's a parody, he's running an ad. But if you actually had an advertisement, if I had an advertisement, watch Google Plus Week or read Warren County Report newspaper, and I took a Prince song and used it as the background for something, then I think crosses the line.
Well, so, but Dan, here's the issue with that. In this particular case, it depends on what the material is that you may or may not be parodying. So, for example, if you were using Facebook's theme song as an advertisement for Google Plus, that might be parody.
That's actually
If
a
you,
good analogy because that would be kind of the same thing. We would be trolling
exactly.
Facebook to say they suck and we should do better and go to Google Plus, and they're saying that girls shouldn't have little pink flowery things, and maybe if we didn't just do that and gave them tomboy toys and engineering stuff, that engineering would cease to become a sausage factory, which is a goal that all of us would support. It's
Right. I mean,
ridiculous that we discourage something as valuable as in all this, STEM subjects, science, tech, engineering, math, to a minority of the population. Why don't we promote it for everybody?
right. Well, and I think the idea of taking a song that is in some ways bashing women is very anti-female, and using it as a pro-female background music, I think, could it be, parody? Yeah, maybe. I can sort of see where they're coming from. Do I think that it was entirely appropriate in this case to do without licensing fees? No, probably not. I've got to admit that.
We both
But
agree the
I
ad
can
was
see the
fantastic.
argument.
We both agree that it was a great ad.
Oh, it's a beautiful ad.
It was awesome, and the message was fantastic. Even the Beastie Boys said that in their statement. They said we totally support the message, and they obviously had a PR person weigh in because this was thrust upon them. Now they're like, wait a minute, because the way this went down was they put the thing up. It went viral on YouTube, and everyone was sharing it because, I mean, who's against little girls getting into engineering? That's just on so many levels awesome. And the song was very catchy, and the little girls were adorable, and the way they sang the song was catchy. It was like a neat, catchy song. So on all those levels, it was cool. But then they have the situation with the Beastie Boys is that the guy who I guess was like the lead of it, whatever, died. And in his will or whatever, he said, I don't want to ever have my stuff commercialized in an advertisement. So the Beastie Boys wrote a letter. I don't know how threatening it was, if at all. They're like, why did you use our song without our permission? And then they sued the Beastie Boys, right? So now, and they wrote an open letter on their webpage saying, okay, so we inquired as to why you used without our permission or knowledge our song in your ad, and you sued us, right? So they're like, this is a potential PR disaster for both sides. I mean, a week ago or whatever.
Well,
They're like, how do we handle this? And I think the Beastie Boys handled it brilliantly.
I mean, the suit's a valid point. By essentially they originally sounded like they were intending to assert their fair use rights, and suing to assert fair use rights is, I don't know, how else do you do it? I see both points. On some level, I agree with both points. And if copyright law hadn't gotten so stupidly out of hand, I think that, certainly both sides could have easily come to an easy understanding. But copyright law has gotten stupidly out of hand, so both sides had to take the positions that they did.
But fair use is tricky. It reminds me of the famous Supreme Court thing on kiddie porn versus a picture of your kid in a bubble bath, right? What's the difference? And I think one of the Supreme Court justices said, I can't write it down, the difference, but I know it when I see it, right? So it's kind of like fair use. It almost, the courts will almost be subject to having to decide these on an individual basis every time because it's such a gray area and it's so hard. We can't even come to a conclusive, and we're two very opinionated guys. And we've both been wrong and right, but I don't have a conclusive thing. I think that the way this worked, the Beastie Boys have not sued the little girls, right? And the little girls took down the thing. And so all's well that ends well. I almost wish that one of them would sue the other one for $1 just so we could find out what the legal decision is. Because I'm fascinated by this, because this gets to all the things that we our friends who do shows on YouTube, like Leo Laporte, for example, he's had This Week in Google taken down on YouTube because they were showing a clip of something and there was a claim against it. It's an area. Remember that West Wing scene when they were talking about the ascension of the presidency if he forgets to sign the letter, and he said because naturally this is an area of law you'd want as much ambiguity as possible. It's kind of like that where I wish there were black and white rules, and there aren't, and it's difficult for content producers to wade through this, and clearly they knew that they could have gotten called out, but they got their message out. The Goldie Blocks people, and she knew what she was doing, because this gets to the phrase, "It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission." If they had asked, they'd have been told no.
Right,
So
and you know who
they
said
just did
that?
it.
You know who popularized that quote, of course, don't you?
I don't know. Jerry Falwell, maybe. I don't know.
No, not Jerry Falwell.
Who?
Rear Admiral Hopper, which is a name I'm sure is, I can tell from the look on your face, Dan, that you immediately know who Rear Admiral Hopper is.
Of course, I have all of his albums.
Well, for starters,
All
that
of
would
his
be a
records.
her,
Oh, okay.
because it's Rear Admiral Grace Hopper. And
Just for any of our audience who's not intimately aware, if you could refresh them.
right, and I'm
on
not
some
actually sure
stats.
how much she was known for her singing voice, to be perfectly honest. But she's known for inventing such things as the software compiler. She was one of the people who invented COBOL. She was essentially the person who brought computing into the U.S. military.
So what were the circumstances that she used that really awesome phrase, which I have many times adopted that philosophy when I'm
Yes, just about anybody has. Well, the kind of circumstances you'd imagine. She was dealing with Navy bureaucracy, and she very wisely opined that it was easier to ask forgiveness than to ask permission to do something, and she was true.
that's
That's
interesting.
a very true statement.
That's funny, because I could see when she's trying to advance a new technology that would probably get a lot of resistance, these newfangled computer thingies, right, back in the day. I could see where she would have had to sort of push,
Absolutely.
especially a female in that day and age,
Absolutely.
especially
I
a
think-
technologically oriented female in that day and age, in
Absolutely.
in the most macho environment you could possibly imagine, the U.S. military. So good for her.
The
She-
Navy, no less.
See, I bet she played with Goldie Blocks when she was a kid. See, this thing's
I
got
bet you
full
she
circle.
didn't. But I think she would be would be a great poster child for them.
She
sure.
probably beat the hell out of the little boys with their Goldie Blocks if they got too close when she was playing. Okay. So I found this whole thing fascinating from a legal perspective. And there were so many opinions, and they were very good opinions. This one guy, he wasn't trolling me, but he said, wait a minute, blah, 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 and he pointed out all these things, because my contention was, this is wrong, they should pull this. And he made a good case against what I was saying. So I really I love it when
Yeah.
someone who's smarter than I am makes really good arguments against what I'm saying, and makes me stop and think, as opposed to just spouting propaganda talking points.
Yeah, I mean, I think there certainly was some legitimate argument that this could have been fair use. Do I think it necessarily would have won if it went to trial? No, not necessarily. But I think there were some compelling arguments to be made. Let's leave it at that.
It was a win for all concerned. One, it caused a lot of people to look up the song from the Beastie Boys, and they made some money. They might buy the song. It was definitely a win for Goldie Blocks,
I wouldn't bet on that.
because who the
somehow.
hell had heard of Goldie Blocks before this? But I don't have a daughter, right? So maybe if I had a young daughter, I would have heard about it. And it kind of ended well. I think the Beastie Boys handled it perfectly. They said, we asked you the question, and you responded by suing us. And they haven't said anything since. And Goldie Blocks quietly took down the song. When I posted last, it was still on Vimeo, the original. And I liked the song. I actually enjoyed listening to it. And I went back to listen to it specifically because I thought it was cute. It was catchy, poppy. So, and probably better than the original, because some of the Beastie Boys B-list was pretty, B-list. So anyway. Alan, did you celebrate Thanksgiving, or did you go
I
to,
did celebrate. I
did
did
you go
have a
to-
good Thanksgiving with my family.
did you eat 4,500 calories, which is the national average?
I did not count.
Um,
I would generally guess I did not, simply because I can't eat that much.
Now, when we say eat, I mean wine, everything, the whole
You mean
dessert,
gouge?
appetizers.
I
Basically,
generally don't eat that much.
I slid up to the trough and
and had it poured
consumed.
into you. Yeah, no.
Just like a Roman torture chamber. It was so awesome. And then I
No,
went
but
into
I
a
had a pleasant
carbohydrate
dinner with
coma.
family and friends.
And did you go to Brawl Mart today
No,
and get your 720p Vizio for $400 or whatever the hell they had?
I had less than no interest in going to Black Friday sales. About 5 hours after Staples opened, I stopped by to see if I could pick up any of the Black Friday specials that they had, and they had all of them that I was interested in. So and no line. So for getting a few extra hours of sleep, I got all of the sales that I wanted. No muss, no fuss, no care. Didn't really want all that much, so
Yeah, I have
Um,
no desire to go to a Walmart on Thanksgiving night or Black Friday morning. Um, and they were like apparently on the east and central coast, several stores had a one in one or one out one in policy because and of course Drudge Report and Huffington Post and all the news sites are just going crazy with all these crazy stories. Man kicked out of Walmart for filming fight, but all the people in the fight were allowed to just go through the checkout line. And the cops, the poor cops, he's like, look, the cops are doing nothing. Well, there was like 100 people brawling and there's like two cops, right? What are you going to do? Just buy your freaking TV and get the hell out. I don't want to get attacked by 100 people. I don't care how many guns you have. At some point it's Lord of the Rings. And it was just wild. But I don't think it was symptomatic. I went to a store today. I was craving fish, breaded flounder, believe it or not. Odd. So I
was
went.
that odd or cod?
Actually, I think it was cod. I think I got
Why
breaded
did I
cod
say anything?
because
Never mind, Dan.
the guy at the seafood counter said, "No, no, no, you want this. The other thing sucks. Get this." So I was like, "Okay." He knows. He's a big dude, right? Works there, eats. Um, so
Don't you think
anyway,
he eats his own product?
yeah. So uh, he said that he went. I said, when he came here, what time did you come? He said like 9 o'clock in the morning or something, and it's right near Target. And so I said, how busy was it? He said there were 5 cars in the parking lot. Now, I asked if he had driven by Walmart, which is across the street, and he hadn't looked, right? So I don't know. I think it's depends where you are. I'll tell you what. I'm a Cyber Monday guy, and there's Black Friday, pre-Black Friday, you know, Gray Friday, or what do the hell they call
I'm
it? Gray
tired of all the
something.
BS, to
Oh
be
yeah,
honest.
it's a scam. It's a marketing thing. They've taken this holiday meant to celebrate, our genocide of our native people, and turned it into a big marketing thing. And before anyone thinks I'm being a Nazi, I'm being sarcastic. That was a parody.
Wasn't a parody.
It was a
Let's be
satire.
clear here. It was satire. Thank you.
A satire. Forgive me. I don't want to mess up my.
I mean, there are efforts in this whole marketing thing that I can understand and I appreciate. I mean, I've got friends who are small business owners, and they are very much into the Small Business Saturday for good reason. You're a newspaper owner. I'm sure you had a lot of fun selling advertising for this week.
It helps for the drop off after the political campaigns end. Yes.
Yeah, I understand and I appreciate all of that, but I don't know. I think and there was a time that I actually thought Black Friday was fun, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's nearly as fun as it used to be. But I suppose everyone says that.
Okay, so let me I have a related topic here. If I
And I
can.
need to head off in a little bit, Dan,
Okay.
because I've got a long weekend planned ahead of me.
Well, I think I can handle every topic except this one I cannot handle. So let me. This is not related then, but I'll do.
Let's hit them up quickly.
Okay,
Set them up and
Chromecast
knock 'em
easing
down.
developer restrictions. Sorry, I had the wrong camera.
I think that's going to be a subject we'll best cover next week. There are some interesting rumors floating around that we're going to be seeing a whole lot more Chromecast applications real soon now. And that's because developers which previously could only develop for themselves are now going to be able to make it public. So that's pretty exciting. We'll see where that goes, especially with all the people that picked up their Chromecast this weekend for $29
Really? Where
at
was?
Best Buy.
Oh wow.
Best Buy had $5.01 off.
So it's give me an example. Like obviously, if you had a video service like Blip TV, for example, which may not be on Chromecast, but now they could do that. What other applications might someone be
Well,
able?
it's things like Vimeo will be able to just add the Chromecast icon to their screen. Previously, they needed to get approval from Google in order to do that. So, Hulu Plus and those guys, as they came in, they needed to work with Google to do it. Eventually, anyone's going to be able to do it. Just embed the Chromecast button on your site, and you can stream. Congratulations.
So okay, one
But it
example.
also means we'll be seeing a whole host of new apps that have been developed for the Chromecast.
Give me some
And I could
examples. Like I'm thinking, like for example, like PowerPoint type stuff, some
PowerPoint
sort of
stuff.
business
Video.
presentation things. What are some applications that we might see? Because I'm not clear.
We can see PowerPoint type stuff coming in there. We'll be able to see things where you'll be able to create your own photo albums and just have them, show up on your living room. Just start streaming, whenever you want. So those are two easy things. I can easily see game integration showing up on a Chromecast. Can you imagine, for example, having two people playing each other on their Nexus devices, and all of the spectators can watch what's going on by looking at the big screen to see the overall picture, and each individual person is focusing on their own game. I can see things like that. I can see a lot of different apps, and most excitedly, we'll all be able to see what everyone else has come up with.
What about a video conferencing thing where, for example, we could each be looking at our television sets, talking into our phone, and I could see your video and you could see mine? Something like
That
that?
is potentially, sure. I'm not sure I could figure out how to do that offhand, but that's certainly something that's feasible, I guess.
It's exciting that I guess they've got it to the point where they feel comfortable with the API, because of late their general approach is, unless we think it's rock solid, we're not going to open it up because we don't want to have to go back and piss all the developers off, which happened early in Google Plus.
Yeah, we won't talk about how they're pissing certain developers, me, off.
Okay. Next up, I know you had an opinion on this. I entitled this "Free Censorship from Sprint Coming to a Phone Near You." And what I'll do is I'm going to screen share. I got this email from Sprint, and it said, help protect your devices from adult content and malware. Content filtering makes it simple to prevent your family's mobile devices from accessing websites that may contain adult content or malware. We're on the Sprint network. You can quickly set filters on one device or all of them. This is trusted filtering technology used by millions of people worldwide. It's free from Sprint. So my first thought, the argument for this is, if you have tween kids and you're concerned about this, you might want to put this on. The argument against it is the famous thing where a filter, like if you were looking for information on breast cancer, then or mammograms, then the word breast is in there and it filters it out. That's the famous example I can think of. I know you said you had some strong opinions on this whole issue.
Yeah. I think the key phrase to notice here is this trusted filtering technology. Okay? I think everyone who sees something that says trusted filtering technology should be read as filtering technology that dictatorships like Great Britain force ISPs to shove down the throats of their customers. Now, I've got to give Sprint credit that they don't seem to be thrusting it down the throats of their customers terribly hard. So kudos to Sprint for only being partial dictators. That said, this filtering technology is bogus. It's bogus, and it's BS, and it's crap. And yes, it's going to filter out 90%, maybe 95% of the objectionable material at the cost of also filtering out a nice-sized chunk of the unobjectionable material. And if you've got a kid who has, any sorts of common sense, they're going to know how to get around the filter. So, this is effectively useless.
Could a site, let's go to my breast example. It's always good for ratings. Just kidding. But let's use that as an example. Let's say you were a site like WebMD, and they're filtered out a site which someone's looking for, should I get a mammogram? At what age should I get a mammogram, for example? Does it hurt? Or whatever the question is. And it filtered WebMD out in the search results unfairly, right? Because it's not a porn site. Could WebMD sue Sprint and say you've deprived me of revenue because your filter, and you've defamed me by classifying me as a pornography site? Could this be a can of worms?
That's an interesting question. I don't think it's ever been challenged. I think usually sites capitulate and put them on the whitelist before it ever gets to that point.
I bet Mayor Bloomberg's for this. I bet he endorses this. I bet he uses Bing. I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm going to have a large soda later. Okay, so next up, Yahoo sending rambling memo demanding employees start using its crappy webmail.
Yeah, before we get to this one, Dan, I do need to head off, but I just want to ask, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did. I had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I appreciate the question. I ate lots of food, as I said. I did not go to shop. I did not stand in line for 4 hours to purchase my 720p last year's edition television for $389. But it was. I did enjoy reading all the accounts of the mayhem, the pulling of hair, gnashing of teeth.
You just like white trash TV vicariously. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. Well, I'm in a redneck town, so I have
Okay.
some experience. In fact, my neighbor. This is a funny story. My neighbor
Oh, gosh.
scraps. They do scrap metal, right? So I look over and I see a 45-mile-per-hour sign. So I'm like, that can't be legal. So I walked over. I said, so where'd you get the sign? He said, I don't know, with all this stuff. I said, well, it's probably state property. Somebody probably owns that sign, right? You can't just have it. And, an inmate worked hard on that or however they do it. I don't know if that's just an urban myth. So I
They
said,
worked hard on a 45-mile-per-hour sign?
45-mile-per-hour sign. So 4 is easier than 3, I think. So anyway, I said, you should call VDOT or the sheriff's department and say, and he's like, why don't I should just cut it in half. And I said, well, the first thing you should do is make it so it's not visible on the side of your freaking pickup truck before you drive down the road and get pulled over. Because looking at this pickup truck is probably not the only thing he's going to find, it's an old pickup truck, Anyway, I just thought that was funny. So I'm sure he notified the appropriate authorities and turned the sign in, right?
I'm sure.
Didn't get his 75 cents for scrap.
For
Alan,
all of those that are watching this, all of those in the Virginia Department of Transportation who are watching this, we're sure he did the right thing.
We're quite the viral hit among VDOT employees with their Blackberries. So anyway, you got to go, huh?
Yeah, I regret I got to go.
That's okay. Thank you for popping in. I'm going to continue.
Nobody
with
else seems to have.
At least I had you for a little bit, and I was unable to pee, so this show will not last long because I can't put the slide up. Say okay, we'll be right back after these messages.
You put up you need a really good test signal sign graphic. We need to come up with an app that shows test signals.
Because I'm definitely not putting up a toilet cam, a water closet cam.
Oh yeah, I think that would be a perfect one for you with fly.
Maybe I can have a sound effect of water
what you
dripping
need,
into a
Dan,
bucket.
what you need, Dan, is you need a picture of an outhouse with flies buzzing around it,
And the Sears
and
wish
a
book
sign
on the
that says
floor.
"We'll be right back."
The big Sears catalog on the floor,
Yeah,
like the good old days. That's really what was going on in the whole
I
Thanksgiving.
got. You know what? Now I need to really find this picture for you because I can.
Can I have waterfall sound effects maybe a yellow motif? What I need is an astronaut tube.
Here we are, Dan. I found it already. This is going to be I don't think I can. Can I make this bigger? No, I don't think so. Okay, so here we are, Dan. We're going to have this picture, and next to it, it's going to say, "We'll be right back."
That's actually a good idea. I mean, if it got to that, I'll just be like, look, here's the deal. I'm going to pee, and I'll be back when I'm done peeing.
Okay, so Dan,
On that note.
On that note, I need to get going, but I will be back for Monday night's show. That's our Android Week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, where we'll be covering, I don't know, I'm sure we'll have something to say about Android devices.
Indeed.
You figure?
I think there'll be some big news. We can talk
Big,
about all of the Android news.
all of it.
Thank God Nate is so prolific. I'm getting lots of leads from him. He writes like a dozen stories a day.
And then next Friday, I will be back for another Google Plus week.
Excellent. Awesome.
So I
Well,
hope you have a good one until then.
all right. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful whatever you're doing, and do it well. Do it proudly. Make us all proud. But thank you for popping
Oh,
in. I
I will,
appreciate it.
Dan. I will.
So the next thing is Yahoo sends a rambling memo demanding employees start using its webmail. I can tell you, I am a customer of Yahoo. They're ridiculously overpriced. They suck, and it's a hassle to switch, to try to figure out how to switch. So this is it begins. I'll just show you part of it here. This is from All Things D. Earlier this year, we asked you to move to Yahoo Mail for your corporate email account. 25% of you made the switch. Thank you. But even if we use the most generous of grading curves, say the one from organic chemistry, we have clearly failed in our goal to move our coworkers to Yahoo Mail. I think it's a combination of things. First of all, as I said, Yahoo sucks. But second of all, switching is a pain. Like in my situation, I have multiple users accessing a central editor account for Warren County Report and Frederick County Report. One time they cut us off for like 5 days, and I have a famous open letter to Yahoo, which I published on the newspaper sites for both papers and at the time. And once I put it online, I got a call from corporate headquarters. They were falling over themselves to help me. But why did it take that long? And they literally, we hadn't done anything wrong. One of my salespeople got a phishing email, with something like click here, whatever it was. It was a phishing email. Sent it to me and said, "Is this real or is this spam?" And I sent it to my IT guy. So when I did that, I forwarded it to my IT guy. All three addresses were on the same domain, WarrenCountyReport.com. So I sent it to my IT guy. In doing so, I was forwarding a phishing email, right, in their mind, which I was, but they thought I was phishing. So I was like, I explained this, and they're like, "Oh, well, our whatever," and they were closed on the weekends, the department that handles this. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I said, "You've shut down the main newspaper email account," and they just are awful, awful, awful. Yahoo sucks. Don't do them. They're expensive and they suck, and they don't care about their customer. They're a disaster. So I'm glad that the Yahoo people are wise. 75% of the Yahoo team is wisely not using them. And basically, it's not that interesting a story, but anytime I can troll Yahoo, I will do that to punish them for shutting my email down for 4 days and causing people to think I was ignoring their emails. Because not only do they shut it down, if you emailed the newspaper, it wouldn't bounce back and it wouldn't show up in the inbox. There was no indication that it didn't go through. So they assumed we got the email and just ignored them. So and then there was no way to find out who had emailed us. So it was like going down a hole. We didn't know who had tried to email us. They didn't know it didn't go through for 4 days. It was just outrageous. I could get violent over this. I'm getting all worked up again. Okay, so anyway, this is a crazy story here. A couple fined for negative review. What they did, there's lots of different versions of the story. I always like to go to the Consumerist. This is a fantastic website, which obviously is not proficient at IT because they got hacked at some point. Oh, they finally have comments. Like they went 2 years with no comments because they got hacked. So anyway, here we go. This couple, the Consumerist is with Consumers Union, which publishes Consumer Reports magazine, which doesn't take advertising. Although I think this site might. I'm not sure. Maybe they don't. So anyway, these folks bought something from cleargear.com, and she said there's a CNN story as well, which I didn't link to, but it's somewhere out there if you look for it. So they bought something here, and after like 30 days, it hadn't shipped, and apparently they called and they couldn't get anybody. So they PayPal said there's been no activity for 30 days on this thing, so they canceled the charge. So that ended that. They didn't end up paying for it or got refunded, and they never got the product. So then she went on Ripoff Report and wrote a scathing review saying that she ordered the product and after 30 days had not gotten it. She tried to call, and she said there was no way to physically get any kind of human being there. Ironic that I would be using that phrase on a show about Google stuff, but she couldn't get through to anybody on the phone, and then a couple years later, she got a letter saying that she was being fined $3,500 because there was a in the terms of service or the agreement or whatever, when she purchased the product, it said that you're not allowed to say anything that would reflect badly on this company. So she basically, by posting a negative review, and no one is, I mean, I don't think that they question whether the review was accurate or not, but because it would cast cleargear.com in a negative light, then she's not allowed to say anything bad. So can you imagine going into a restaurant and in the bottom, in the fine print on the menu, it says, by the way, if you post a negative review on Yelp, you agree to pay us $3,500. Or if you post any kind of review that casts us in a negative light, and then you don't see it, whatever, or you don't read it. And who reads all the terms of service agreements for every site or app we download? Come on. But this is the whole thing, because we've gotten to the point where reviews, now sometimes they can be trolling you, sometimes they're unfair. One guy I was looking at one thing, it was for cameras, it was a battery case. And the guy gave it a 1-star review because it didn't come with the batteries. I mean, it's like a purse that doesn't come with stuff in it. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. But there are morons out there. But I found reviews to be very valuable when I'm deciding whether or not to purchase a product. And so imagine if all that ended. Now, there are legitimate cases, like almost every civil case that's settled will have, or many of them have a non-disclosure agreement attached where you can't, reveal the terms, or you can't trash the other person, and everyone just shuts up about it. And money's exchanged, and they don't reveal how much or who paid whom or whatever. That's very common. But if you're just buying, a toy or whatever the hell it is, pajamas for your kid, and you had this horrific experience where you waited a month and you just posted an honest review, assuming, she's honest, and I have no idea. But in that scenario, for the company to be able to say in our terms of service, it says you can't cast a disparaging comment about us. And then they went and it impacted, they filed negative credit reports against her because she didn't pay the $3,500. So they were out for blood, right? So, this is insane. And I hope that they really have their asses handed to them, because this just is crazy. Now, there's some legal basis for Cleargear's argument, but not in this case. And I think I saw one analyst, some analysts are saying that they have a case, and others are saying, you can have a non-disparagement clause in a contract or in an agreement, but it has to be reasonable, and that he thought that this would be thrown out. But this is another area similar to the Beastie Boys kids toy company parody or ad song thing, where it's a gray area, and it's not a clear cut, and I hope I hope this is litigated. So this couple's gets what's coming to them in restitution, and Cleargear, this is just thrown out, because if they make it illegal to post a negative review of a product on Amazon or on Yelp, or a negative thing, what if someone on eBay said you're not allowed to say anything negative about us in a review? Then eBay becomes useless, because a lot of it is you can review the purchaser, and if you're deciding whether to accept someone's bid, you can review the buyer, and you rely on those to be honest and not censored. So this has to be thrown out. They have to get slapped in the face, and this couple has to get rewarded for their credit report fixed, and this is just awful. This would be terrible, a horrific anti-consumer result if that were allowed to stand. That needs to be fixed, and hopefully, I'm sure politicians will jump on the bandwagon there. Okay, so next up, Costco is probably my favorite retailer. They're based out of Kirkland, Washington, and this was just genius. So what happened? This is a story out of the Post, the Washington Post, now owned by Jeff Bezos, from the founder of Amazon. So what they did was, in D.C., there's some guy, he owns half or more of all the gas stations in D.C. And coincidentally, or as a consequence, gas is about 30 cents higher in D.C. than in neighboring Virginia and Maryland. So Costco opened up. They have a law in the District of Columbia that dates to, I think, 1983, saying that you're not allowed to sell, if you sell liquor, you can't sell gasoline. The idea is, and let's be honest here, there are really rough parts of D.C. with a lot of winos, that sort of thing. So they're saying they don't want people to buy a small bottle of booze, and if they're going to a gas station, presumably they're driving, and so to curb drunken driving. That's, in theory, what the law was, at least what I've heard was the basis for the law. But they can sell beer and wine, and I don't see a big difference. I mean, some of these wine, Mad Dog or whatever, it's serious stuff. The bottle of that, you'll be on the floor in the fetal position. So I don't see a big difference. But Costco wanted to open up. So what they did was, this is genius. What Costco does is they sell ridiculously low-priced gas, usually the cheapest in that market. But in this case, what they did was they subdivided their lot. So there's the Costco store, right? And there's the lot, and then there's the gas station, and they actually carved it and made a separate LLC, limited liability company in America, I think PLC in UK and whatever your country has, but a corporation, a form of corporation. And so they created this separate entity. So the gas station, you have to be a Costco member to buy gas there. But there's no Costco sign anywhere on the gas station. Technically, it's on a separate piece of land. Technically, it's owned by a separate company, which is a subsidiary wholly owned by Costco Wholesale. And on the receipt, it says, something like DC Gas LLC, whatever it is. But it doesn't say Costco anywhere. So I think it was ingenious. Then there's now the gas stations are freaking out, especially this guy who owns, he's not a monopoly, but he owns a majority of the gas stations in the district. He's freaking out. Now, he has a point. If it's basically a scam, I mean, he's not allowed, it's legal. I say scam, that implies illegality. I see both sides here. I'm for this. I'm for open competition. I'm for Costco because what they did, they had gas at $2.99. And AAA said it was the first time in 5 years that gas had been below $3 anywhere in the District of Columbia. So Costco's changed the game. This guy's selling it for $3.30, and they're selling it for $2.99. So there's 16 pumps at this gas station. Now they're not going to put a dent in terms of dollars as far as the gas sold with this guy's stations. I don't know how many he owns. I'm sure there's thousands or hundreds, in DC, probably thousands. But it does make them look like a ripoff, which, of course, I would argue they might well be. But it's really interesting because are they allowed to subdivide their gas stations into one piece is the gas station and the other parcel is the convenience store to bypass this law? I doubt it because the parcels are so small. But if Costco can do it, why can't they do it? And clearly there was like greasing the skids to make this happen because council wanted a Costco in DC because they sell high-end stuff. It's a very popular store, and probably the council members wanted to shop there. So this is a really interesting situation, and I'll be following it. And DC is just so screwed up, and I don't know how they're going to handle this. They finally made a deal with Uber to let Uber operate, because at some point, the Uber taxi cab company, where you can use your phone. This is my beautiful Samsung Galaxy Note 2 with a cracked screen, and they made a deal with them. But initially, they were arresting people because they weren't an official taxi cab or whatever, and then they passed this crazy targeted minimum wage bill. I think it was like 12 something an hour that would only affect Walmart and a couple other retailers. But like there's some employees of the city council or the city that earn less than that, and other stores wouldn't be impacted. It was basically like to screw Walmart. And so Walmart said, we're going to pull out of DC or not build there. We're not going to open there if this stands. And the mayor wisely vetoed it. It's just really a crazy place. And I may get trolled on this topic, but I have a long thread where I post a lot of articles here, and I go into great detail. And I don't want to get off the point, but in general, Walmart has offers three things: low prices, big selection, quick checkout. That's where people go. There's no other reason someone goes to Walmart. It's a one-stop shop, big selection. The prices are usually lower. If I go to the Martin's grocery store, a 2-liter Diet Right, for example, is $1.59. If I go to Food Line, it's $1.50. Although recently it was on sale for $1 at Walmart, it's always $1. So that's 60% more at Martin's. It's 50% more. If you're buying 10 of them, that's $5 or $6. Plus all the other stuff you're going to buy is cheaper usually, almost always. So you can save $30 by going to Walmart as opposed to your grocery store. Now it's a bigger store. It's a hassle because it's so big, and it's a little farther away. But everyone there works there voluntarily. There's plenty of jobs if you want a job, if you're not a thief or a druggie. And so all these Walmart haters, you're wrong, and they're just an innovative company, and they're a target because they're big. And they had all these protesters out there, and they were given $50 gift cards to protest. And they weren't even employees at Walmart. They were striking, quote unquote, but they were union members working at other places who were basically brought in to hold signs. It's just a joke. So I will continue to shop and support Walmart. And if you don't like it, then so be it. You can troll me, and I'll argue with you for about 10 minutes until I get bored. All right, next up. Okay, every turkey. This is before Thanksgiving, but this was an awesome post. This was fun. Talk about a slow news week, right? Thanksgiving. I guess stuff's happening overseas, but the gist of it is this: every single turkey President Obama has pardoned is dead. And this is a health thing. This is interesting because it's true. Every single turkey. I think only one lived to see the second Thanksgiving. Now, they're not being murdered. They're dying of heart attacks because I have if you look at the, okay, let's look at a wild turkey. Let me go so I don't get in trouble with, whoever, en.wikipedia. Let's go to Wikipedia and let's search for a wild turkey. This thing is a lot faster than this, but I'm streaming video and all this other crap, right? So let's look up a wild turkey. Now, we have turkeys locally here, okay? So there's a pretty big one there. Most of them here are pretty scrawny, though. That's kind of what they look like. This is what a turkey actually looks like in the wild, right? We have lots of them, and this is what they look like. There's a big turkey. There's little baby turkeys. Very cute. The domestic turkey looks like some horrific freak show. Almost like if they had sumo wrestling for turkeys, this would be the turkey, and it would win. So what happens is it's not just humans that can die from morbid obesity and type 2 diabetes and heart disease and all the things that come with that. But when you breed these animals, they aren't designed, they're, bred to be killed at a certain age and eaten. And if you actually keep them around longer, they'll get heart attacks just like people. So I just thought this was anecdotal and interesting, and sort of a turkey, it's a turkey themed week. So there you have it. Every turkey President Obama has pardoned is dead, except for the one he just pardoned yesterday, or whenever he did it this week. So Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoyed your turkey. So that happened. Okay. Next up, this was hysterical. This was a TV producer on a flight, and this went viral, and it's just really funny. This guy, Elon Gale, says he's a producer on ABC's The Bachelor, and he had like 50,000 followers, so it seemed legit, or 35,000. I think he had 60 as of earlier today. So he tweets. He starts his Twitter thing. Our flight is delayed. A woman is on here very upset because she has Thanksgiving plans. She is the only one, obviously, praying for her. So this guy has a sarcastic wit. So I believe he's a TV producer. He's pretty witty. She's telling the flight attendants that it's Thanksgiving. She wants them to know she wants to have dinner with her family. The male flight attendant, I understand, ma'am. I'm looking forward to seeing my family too. She responded, this isn't about you. Her family is very important to her, Elon says. Her family has a special recipe for stuffing. She needs to be there to help. It is crucial. So you could tell where this is going. This is going to be epic, right? She has a connecting flight. Why do people not understand her needs? She had to sit down because we took off. She had been muttering about damn time, and I can hear her breathing from 5 rows back. So he finally decides to send a lady a glass of wine, and it says, Dear lady in 7A, it has come to my attention that today is your Thanksgiving. It must be hard to not be with your family. Please accept this glass of wine. It is a gift from me to you. Hopefully, if you drink it, you won't be able to use your mouth to talk. Love, Elon. So anyway, it gets better, and I'll let you read it for yourselves. But it's really funny. It's just laugh out loud, fall out of the chair. You know, honey, you got to read this funny. So I would encourage you to do that. I'll have a link below. And it's on BuzzFeed. So if you just go to BuzzFeed, Epic Note Passing War on BuzzFeed, you'll find the exchange, or just find him on Twitter. It's the Year of Elon with no D, right? It's this guy, Elon Gale, the Year of Elon, who's suddenly been probably be doing interviews, I'm sure. Apparently, at one point he got slapped, and the lady, you know, it got ugly, and it's just a great read. And what a wonderful way to spend Black Friday as opposed to being at Brawl Mart. So there. Okay, so this is my favorite story of the week. How the U.S. media would cover Thanksgiving if it happened in a foreign country. Because they use terms like, the villagers, stuff. But if they're talking about some rural redneck town, they don't use the same terms, right? So here we go. I'm just gonna a few gems because I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, I'm a newspaper editor, right? So I really enjoy good writing, and this is epic. So here we go. This is from Slate, and I linked to it again in the video. On Wednesday morning, this normally bustling capital city became a ghost town as most of its residents embarked on the long journey to their home villages for an annual festival of family food and questionable historic facts. Experts say the day is vital for understanding American society, and economists are increasingly taking note of its impact on the world economy. The annual holiday known as Thanksgiving celebrates a mythologized moment of peace between America's early foreign settlers and its native groups, a day that by America's own admission preceded a near genocide of those groups. Despite its murky origins, the holiday remains a rare institution celebrated almost universally in this ethnically diverse culture. Then they talk about the pardoning of the turkey. Though rooted in America's ancient history, actually, it's the first president to actually pardon a turkey. The way it's done now was George H.W. Bush, although Lincoln and Kennedy and others had things that the media touted. There was, I think, anyway, this actually dates to George H.W. Bush. One of my commenters pointed that out, and I checked it out, and it seems accurate. And I can't remember his name, or I would credit him with that, because I didn't realize that. I thought it was older. Though rooted in America's ancient history, the celebration of Thanksgiving today also reflects the transforming values of American society. One relatively recent tradition is the head of state's public pardoning of a turkey. a sop to animal rights activists made somewhat moot by the fact that the country's president simply dines on a different turkey. To outsiders, it can also seem like a somewhat macabre gesture since the United States is one of the last developed countries to employ the death penalty for humans. Anyway, it's really funny. And like I said, I appreciate brilliant writing. And Slate does this. This is a series. How he, but basically it's how we would cover Thanksgiving if it was happening in like the Sudan or Islamabad or whatever, in a foreign place. And I just think it's funny and makes, it's satire and parody, a theme of this program. So anyway, the last part of the show is how was your Google Plus week? I've alluded to this twice with Alan. It was great. It was fun. And I got my NEX7, my new Sony camera. And I've got to do some videos coming up. And I'm really impressed with the camera. What these other guys have said, I think is right on the money. I know that Sergey Brin said it was awesome. And several other photographers. Oh my God, Trey Radcliffe. His name escapes me. He's been on the show twice. Trey Radcliffe said that that's who turned me on to it. And then Craig Shipp is a big fan, and I used his, and just the depth of field and the overall imagery is amazing. I have a Canon 1D. It was $8,000, and this was $1,200, and this is superior to that camera in every way that I can think of. So it's just mind-boggling how technology, and that camera was from 06, I think. So it's not that old, 6-7 years. It's a long time in terms of like DVDs to Blu-ray to streaming to 4K in just 6 years. But it's really, ordinarily that period of time wouldn't be that long in terms of photography. But we've really had an accelerated advancement in photography of late, as the gap between what a consumer camera will do and what a pro camera will do narrows. And I'm still looking for that super camera that has the XLR inputs that I want, an over-the-shoulder option, the buttons, physical buttons on the side that I want, so I can do real, what we call it ENG, electronic news gathering, where you can do event stuff or whatever the thing is, to be able to do a constant video thing, not just a 29 or less minute limit. If you're covering a parade, you don't want a 29-minute limit, that sort of thing. With a full frame or an HBSC style sensor to get that depth of field. By depth of field, if you're not a photographer, what that means is, if you're looking at a really high-end movie or a TV show, you'll see one person's in focus and the other person's a little blurred, and then they're having dialogue, and then the other person starts talking. The focus shifts to the person who's talking, and this person's kind of blurred. So the focus is narrow. In other words, I'm in focus, but the background behind me is not. Now, in this case, I'm using a Logitech C920 webcam, which is about the best webcam out there, but the depth of field is not there compared to like a real camera. So I'm experimenting. I'm learning a lot. Craig Shipp's been we joke that he's a troll, and he is a troll, but he's also my good friend, and he's been very helpful to me. And I appreciate the information from Trey Radcliffe and from Sergey Brin about the camera. Their endorsements pushed me over the edge. And so I got it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And when guys like that who can afford, Sergey counts his money with a B. He can buy pretty much any damn camera he wants. And if he chooses a $1,200 NEX7 and says it's awesome and the best thing he's ever had, that's an endorsement that, he has no reason. He's good. He doesn't need affiliate fees from Amazon or from Sony. So anyway, thank you all very much. I apologize. My comment thing's not working. I normally hit this button and the comments show up. I'm not sure what the deal is. But I apologize because this is my first solo, I think, ever. Alan was here for a little bit, but I don't think I've ever done one. So this is a true test of my ADHD skills. And I didn't have my teleprompter hooked up, so this was all for fun. And I've probably, been wildly off topic, and I apologize, but I've tried to keep on task. But thank you for watching. I hope those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, which is not really a religious holiday in America, it's kind of universally celebrated by all religions. It's just a day of Thanksgiving. You can interpret it however you want. And so it's naturally the Black Friday thing. It's natural because most people have Friday off after Thanksgiving, and if they don't, they choose to take it off. So it's a natural day to go shopping. And the Christmas and Hanukkah and other holidays are coming up, so it kind of makes sense that that would be a day when a lot of people will go shopping. And that's how it kind of evolved naturally. And then they started to do big sales that day, and it's kind of the start of the, in the way Labor Day is the start of the November election season, the early September Labor Day. So it kind of made sense that that would become a big day for shopping, because a lot of people are off and Christmas was coming up or Hanukkah was coming up, whatever. And so, now it's been really commercialized, and now they're, when they say doorbusters, they're not kidding. If you look at Drudge Report or Huffington Post, you'll see they weren't kidding. They're busting doors down and arrests and mayhem. But anyway, thank you all very much. I love all you guys. I really appreciate the comments. I'm going to look through and I'll be responding to stuff. I'll read everything. I respond to ones that aren't trolling. And thank you all very much. And I hope you all have an absolutely awesome Google Plus week. Peace. Thanks. And hopefully I'll have a panel next week. Take care. Thank you so much. Happy Turkey Day. And let's start the death clock for whatever the hell the name of the turkey that President Obama pardoned. We'll see how many days he lives now. I think there'll probably be drones flying overhead to see when it finally collapses from a heart attack or whatever. That's satire again. I don't know if you caught that. Thank you all very much. Take care.